Nobody tells you the rules, they just watch to see if you know them. And if you don't, if you walk into this world with only kindness, only trust, only the belief that people will treat you the way you treat them, you will spend years confused, hurt, and wondering why the wrong people keep winning, why the most honest person in the room keeps finishing last, why the one who gives the most keeps ending up with the least. Niccolò Machiavelli was not a villain. He was something far more dangerous. He was honest. In a world that preferred comfortable lies, he looked directly at how power actually works, not how we wish it worked. Not how it works in stories, but how it works in real rooms, with real people, when the stakes are real and nobody is watching. And what he saw was so brutal, so precise, so uncomfortably true that 500 years later, we are still not ready to hear it. This is the psychology of power, and you are learning it too late only if you stop reading right now. The first thing Machiavelli understood, the thing that separates people who survive from people who get consumed, is that the world does not reward goodness. It rewards effectiveness. These are not the same thing. They have never been the same thing, and the moment you confuse them is the moment someone who is far less moral than you, far less talented than you, far less deserving than you, walks directly over you and takes what should have been yours. This is not cynicism. This is observation. Look at your own life. Think of the most ruthless person you have ever known, in your workplace, in your family, in your social circle. Did their ruthlessness hurt them, or did it quietly, consistently, almost invisibly, reward them? Did people fear them just enough to give them space? Did people respect them even when they did not like them? Did they somehow always land on their feet while kinder, softer people around them kept absorbing the damage? Machiavelli watched this same pattern play out across kingdoms, across armies, across centuries of human civilization, and his conclusion was not that good people should become cruel. His conclusion was far more precise than that. He said that a person who wants to survive in a world that does not always reward virtue must learn when to use virtue and when to use something else entirely. The lion and the fox. Remember this. Machiavelli believed every person who wants to navigate power must understand two animals inside themselves. The lion is strength, raw, visible, intimidating force, a presence that makes people move out of your way without needing to be asked. But the lion alone is not enough, because the lion does not see the trap until it is already in it. That is where the fox comes in. The fox's intelligence, patience, the ability to read a room, to see 3 moves ahead, to understand what people want and use that understanding before they use you. The most dangerous person in any situation is not the strongest or the smartest. It is the person who knows when to be the lion and when to be the fox. That combination, that precise, disciplined switching between force and finesse, is what Machiavelli called the true art of power. And here is where most people make the mistake. They pick one animal and stay everything. They are always the lion, always loud, always forceful, always leading with dominance. And they get respected but never trusted, feared but never followed with loyalty. Or they are always the fox, always calculating, always diplomatic, always the smartest person in the room who somehow never acts on it, and they get liked but never taken seriously, consulted but never chosen when it actually counts. The switching is the skill, the knowing is the power. But Machiavelli had a second lesson, one that cuts even deeper, and this one is about the people around you. He understood something about human nature that most of us spend decades trying to unlearn, that people are not primarily driven by love or loyalty or gratitude. They are driven by interest, their own interest. The moment your interest and theirs align, they are your greatest allies. The moment those interests diverge, quietly, sometimes without either of you fully realizing it, the alliance begins to erode. This is not a betrayal, it is just human nature. And the person who understands this is never blindsided. They never wake up one morning devastated that someone they trusted chose themselves, because they always knew. They planned for it. They built their position in a way that kept their allies' interests close to their own for as long as possible. This is not manipulation, this is architecture. The architecture of relationships that actually last. Now here's the twist, the part nobody talks about when they discuss Machiavelli. He was not advising people to become monsters. He was advising them to stop being prey. There's a specific kind of person Machiavelli had no patience for, not the villain, not the tyrant, the naive idealist who walks into a world of wolves believing everyone operates by the same code of goodness they do, weighing and then acts shocked, devastated, personally wounded when the wolves behave like wolves. He had no sympathy for that person. Not because he was cruel, but because he believed that ignorance about power, in a world where power is constantly in motion, is not innocence, it is negligence. It is a choice to remain blind to how the world actually operates, and then blame the world for the consequences of that blindness. The most dangerous person is not the one who abuses power, it is the one who refuses to understand it, because that refusal hands their power to someone else every single time. Think about what power actually is. Strip away the thrones and the armies and the corporate titles. At its most basic, power is simply this: the ability to shape outcomes, the ability to make things happen, the ability to protect yourself, the people you love, the life you are building. And Machiavelli's argument was that every single person, not just kings, Not just CEOs, not just the visibly powerful. Every person needs to understand how to cultivate and protect that ability, because no one else will do it for you. No one is coming to give you the position you deserve. No one is going to hand you the recognition you earned. The world distributes power to those who understand it, not to those who deserve it. And here's the deepest truth Machiavelli ever put into words. Neutrality is a fantasy. In every situation where power is in play, and power is always in play, the person who tries to stand in the middle, who tries to please everyone, who tries to take no side, to cause no conflict, to make no enemies, that person does not escape the game. They simply become the weakest player in it, because everyone else in the room is moving, everyone else is positioning, everyone else is calculating. And the person who refuses to move, out of some desire to remain above it all, simply becomes the piece that every other player is willing to sacrifice. Machiavelli's lesson is not that you should be feared rather than loved. People reduce him to that line and miss everything underneath it. His real lesson is this: understand the room you are in, understand the people inside it, understand what they want, what they fear, what they will protect, and what they will sacrifice, and then move with that knowledge, not out of cruelty, not out of greed, but out of the quiet, disciplined refusal to be the last person in the room to understand what is actually happening. That is the psychology of power. It is not about dominating others. It is about never being dominated by your own ignorance of how people truly operate. Because here's what happens to the people who never learn this. They are kind, and their kindness gets exploited. They are loyal, and their loyalty gets taken for granted. They are honest, and their honesty gets used as a map to their vulnerabilities. They trust, and their trust becomes the very door through which everything they built gets quietly dismantled. Not because they were weak, but because they were uninformed. Because they played one game while everyone around them was playing a different one. Machiavelli spent his life in the corridors of power, advising rulers, studying collapses, watching kingdoms rise on intelligence and fall on naivety. And what he carried out of all of that, what he tried to hand to the rest of us, was not a manual for cruelty. It was a warning, a precise, unflinching, deeply human warning. Wake up, see clearly, know the room you are in. Know the people you are in it with, not so you can destroy them, but so you can never be destroyed by them. The psychology of power is not learned in schools. It is not taught by parents. It is not written on any wall in any office. It lives in the spaces between what people say and what they actually mean, between what people promise and what they actually do, between who someone pretends to be in the light and who they reveal themselves to be when the stakes get real. Learn to read those spaces, because the people who understand power do not announce it. They do not broadcast it. They do not need you to know they have it. They just quietly, consistently, without drama or noise, they shape what happens around them. And that is the most powerful thing of all. Not the one who shouts the loudest, not the one who dominates every room, not the one who collects the most fear, the one who sees everything, says only what is necessary, and moves only when it matters. That person never loses, because they never play a game they have not already studied. And now, neither will you.